Hi everyone, this is a video by SciShow. Why is lung cancer in non-smokers on the rise? Well, by non-smokers, if you include vapors, do you include people who vape or do marijuana? Let's see.
Lung cancer is the most deadly cancer in the world. It's not the most common, that title goes to breast cancer, but lung cancer kills the most people. Now, you might think that this stat sounds outdated because smoking is the main risk factor for people to end up with lung cancer, and we've had a significant reduction in the number of people who smoke over the years.
Yeah, but instead of doing that, they just smoke marijuana and just vape. It's the same thing, if not worse.
And death rates from lung cancer have been dropping a lot. But as of 2024, in the US alone, the number of cancer deaths from lung cancer was still more than double the next most deadly cancer. And yes, it is a lower rate than it used to be when more people smoked, but the fact that it's still so deadly means something in the math isn't mathing. It turns out that while the rate of lung cancer in general is declining, the rate of lung cancer in people who don't smoke at all has gone up. So here is why we think lung cancer isn't just about cigarettes anymore.
Interesting. Wow, interesting. What could possibly be causing cancer? Let's just think for a minute. What could it possibly be? Well, I have no idea. Do you?
So you can't really talk about lung cancer without talking about smoking. They have been known as an infamous package deal since at least the
Yeah, you breathe toxic chemicals into your lungs, they get cancer. Simple enough.
1950s, though that didn't stop them from saying it wasn't happening. But even though it has been firmly proven that smoking significantly increases your risk for lung cancer, that doesn't mean like a 100% guarantee. Not everyone who smokes will get lung cancer, and not everyone with lung cancer has smoked. For the purposes of this video, we're only looking at smoking cigarettes. We're not thinking about vapes or marijuana here, and we're gonna follow the Centers for Disease Control and define
Yeah, but you kind of have to like if someone doesn't smoke but instead vapes, then that's what's causing it. Or smokes marijuana, like
people who do not smoke as
whatever.
anyone who smoked less than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime. So if you went to the discotheque years ago and you found yourself engaging in a behavior that you usually wouldn't, or like you passed a cigarette around as like a 14-year-old, that kind of infrequent indiscretion is not going to put you in the group of people who have smoked. Rates of lung cancer in people who do not smoke vary widely across demographics and countries, but it seems to disproportionately affect women and Asian populations. In the US, one study found that on average 14% of men with lung cancer do not smoke, and 16% of women with lung cancer don't smoke. But in Asia, some studies have reported that more than half of women with lung cancer don't smoke, with that number getting up to 83% in South Asia. Researchers aren't totally sure why lung cancer in people who don't smoke is so dramatically.
Are they not sure, or is it just that you can't talk about the actual reason why cancer in young people, especially, is on the rise? Is it that they don't know, or is it that you can't talk about it? Is it that it's actually censored on many platforms? Even on a platform like, you know, the one you're using right now, this stuff might be censored. And that's why, maybe that's why I can't talk about it. Just maybe.
skewed toward those populations. But they do have a few ideas, and the first one starts in the kitchen. According to a Gallup poll conducted in 2022, women in every single country investigated cooked, on average, more than men. Except in Italy, where men actually cooked 0.4 more meals per week than women. And the fumes from burning wood and frying oil are known to have cancer-causing potential. So if women are disproportionately cooking more and inhaling more of those fumes,
Come on, man. The oil emits carcinogenic fumes. Why the fuck are you cooking your food in it? You shouldn't be cooking anyways. Why would you cook? The only reason for that could possibly be like destroying the anti-nutrients in the egg whites, but even that's not a great idea.
that could very well be stirring up a pot of trouble for women's lungs as
Because, like, in the previous video that I mentioned, it just makes it harder to digest, which might even be worse.
well. Many countries with an increased rate of lung cancer among women who do not smoke also have cultures where women spend more time cooking and are cooking over an
Yeah, well, that's obviously like if you're inhaling the smoke, yeah, sure.
open flame with really high heat. For example, a study conducted in Hong Kong looked at the relationship between how much cooking
Obviously, it's could be the Teflon pans too.
women did and their risk of developing lung cancer. The researchers were only looking at people who did not smoke, and they compared what type of food the women ate, what type of oil they cooked with, how high they typically heated their wok, and whether or not they used a fuel, among other factors. And after interviewing almost 500 women, the researchers came to a pretty clear conclusion. The more dishes a woman had cooked in her lifetime, the higher her risk was for developing lung cancer. Higher wok temperatures also increased the chances of lung cancer, but using a fume hood or various types of oil didn't seem to matter. But cooking practices alone do not tell the whole story. As with most human diseases, the risks of lung cancer involve both environmental and genetic factors. Scientists already know that a mutation
Yeah, sure, you can have a genetic predisposition to stuff, but like it needs to be activated by something. What was that thing? Why are cancers on rise? Well, I mean, we all kind of know, right? What's happened, for those who don't get what I'm talking about, what's happened in the last 5 years? 5 or 6 years now, I think. Uh, what big events happened in the last 5 years? And what measures did a certain governing body take in order to, you know, prevent it, I guess? You get what I'm talking
in
about.
a gene called EGFR significantly increases your risk of developing lung cancer. EGFR stands for epidermal growth factor receptor,
Yeah, we don't have to know about the fucking protein.
the traffic light gets stuck on always green, which leads to uncontrolled growth, which becomes cancer. One study found that if you have that EGFR mutation, there's a 55% chance of you developing lung cancer by the age of 60.
I doubt that it's that simple.
Not a 55% increase in your chance, a 55% chance, even if you do not smoke. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that someone who does not smoke and has lung cancer also has an EGFR gene mutation. And Asian lung cancer patients may have up to twice the rate of EGFR mutations as compared to lung cancer patients from other parts of the world. Up to 74% of specifically East Asians with lung cancer who do not smoke have the EGFR mutation. Such a skewed distribution in the demographics of this gene mutation may explain some of why we're seeing that bias in who's developing non-smoking related lung cancer. But before we move on with this story, we need to keep the lights on with a quick ad.
This SciShow video is
What is this?
friendly online education platform. As a SciShow viewer, you know that education doesn't have to happen
What?
in a classroom. And sometimes
Yeah, education that happens in the classroom is not education, it's slavery. Well, education is slavery. Learning isn't slavery, but education is. If someone's educating you, that's slavery. If you're learning stuff yourself, you're learning stuff from someone, that's not slavery.
flexible learning on a schedule that's compatible with your day job gets you where you want to go more effectively.
Well, what is this? Who's this even for? Stupid bullshit.
Programs. You even get a free cow. The differences between what lung cancer looks like in people who have and have not smoked are so stark. Some researchers argue we should be thinking about non-smoking related lung cancers as completely separate from smoking related ones. First of all, the specific subtype of lung cancer that the two groups get is usually different. About 60% of lung cancer patients who have never smoked get adenocarcinoma, where their lung cancers show up in the outer cells of the lung. But the lung cancers of people who have smoked are a bit more evenly distributed, and just about 30% of them get adenocarcinoma. And of course, those risk factors for smoking and non-smoking related lung cancers look extremely different. For non-smoking related lung cancer, doctors can look at genetic factors like that EGFR mutation I mentioned earlier, or environmental factors like secondhand smoke or asbestos. For smoking related cancer,
Or if they have been injected with a certain substance.
you can still look at those other variables, but scientists have found that just a fraction of people who smoke and have developed lung cancer have the EGFR mutation. Smoking cigarettes is going to be, in that situation, the smoking gun. You might also get a different treatment plan depending on whether you smoke or not. People who have not smoked have generally healthier lungs.
Treatment. Funny word to use. Very, very funny word to use.
So they can tolerate surgical treatments a bit better than people who have smoked. And if you haven't smoked, the chances of your lung cancer being associated with that EGFR mutation is high, which could be good news for your treatment options. Some EGFR-related lung cancers can be treated by medications called EGFR inhibitors. And
by the way, this guy, I think his name is Hank, the guy hosting this show. I think he got Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's like an immune system cancer. I don't think it's particularly deadly as far as cancers go, and I think he survived it. Like he's completely in the clear now, but he obviously looks so much worse. Like you just kind of see that
they work. EGFR inhibitors are recommended by several cancer organizations across the globe to treat people with the EGFR mutation. Some studies have even shown that EGFR inhibitors have better patient outcomes than chemotherapy. Now, they're not perfect, of course. The cancer can become resistant
chemotherapy
to EGFR inhibitors after a while, but they definitely work as a first line of defense. Despite these treatments for non-smoking related lung cancer, the rise in rate of non-smoking lung cancers remains mysterious. We're not 100% sure why it's happening. There are many potential factors that could be at play. And one culprit you might not expect is radon gas. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, it's the most common cause of lung cancer in people who don't smoke, and it is second only to cigarettes on the list of causes of all lung cancers. Radon is a radioactive gas that floats around naturally in the air, colorless and odorless. It's normal to breathe in some radon every day, which you likely do in very low amounts. It only becomes a problem when you're exposed to high doses. When you breathe it in, the radon makes a beeline for your lungs and basically channels all of its frenetic radioactive energy into wreaking havoc on your cells. If you work as an underground miner, live in a particularly old house, or if the soil your house is built on has high levels of uranium in it, you might be exposed to high levels of radon. But some research in North America suggests that younger people with newer homes may be getting an increased risk of radon exposure too. Newer construction sites disturb the ground, which stirs up more radon gas. No matter how old your home is, not to fear, you
I doubt that it's why young people are getting it now. It could be something else too, you know. Something that has been directly injected into the bloodstream. You know, something that has potential to cause DNA damage. Something that's contaminated with DNA. What could it be? What could it possibly be?
You could pick up a radon test kit from a local hardware store if you are concerned. And if you do find cause for alarm, you can install a system in your home to pump out the excess radon gas. Aside from radon, secondhand smoke and workplace hazards like asbestos are well-known carcinogens. Avoiding secondhand smoke and ensuring a safe work environment are both important ways you can protect your lungs. Another way to stay healthy is to talk about this stuff. It sounds counterintuitive, but we might have done too good a job highlighting the role that cigarette smoking plays in developing lung cancer. As a result, people may think that it's impossible to get lung cancer if they haven't smoked, so they might experience symptoms but think it can't be happening to them, or they might be reluctant to admit.
What does it matter if you have lung cancer? You're kind of already well, not in a very good place
They might have lung cancer for fear of being like accused of smoking. Like it's going to be their fault. Lots of people may avoid seeking treatment and social support, and patients with lung cancer have generally worse physical and mental health than people with other types of cancer. But no single behavior can make your risk 0%.
Yeah, because lung cancer is extremely deadly. That doesn't come off as a surprise. If you know that you're most likely gonna die, uh, you can't be in a good mood.
Or 100%. And even if smoking was a factor, stigma makes people feel like they can't talk about their disease. After all, stigma is hard to snuff out. So we're making this video. We don't do enough research on lung cancer. It should be more well researched. It is the most deadly cancer in the world. This video.
You know what should be researched? Well, it is being researched. You just can't really talk about it on these platforms. Why young people are getting cancers now all of a sudden? Why all-cause mortality is increasing? That's what we should be researching and questioning and making videos about.
I was inspired by my friend and the former CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, who focused much of her business and advertising know-how on bringing more educational videos like this one to the internet. Susan
CEO, basically evil businesswoman. That's what they are. They sell their soul for money. That's what they do. Like they might as well sign a contract with the devil in blood or something. Like literally, they might as well do that. Same thing. Evil people.